Hi, I'm Joe Polizzi, and this is the Content Inc. podcast. 5 minutes every Monday for content creators who desire to be content entrepreneurs. So next week, we at The Tilt are releasing our second annual Creator Economy Research Project. We've got results from over 1,000 content creators and content entrepreneurs on what defines success for them. And one of the really interesting statistics is the 17-month runway. So what that means is from launch, from your content creation business launch, it takes about 6.5 months on average for a creator to earn their first dollar. And then it takes about 17 months to go ahead and support one person. And that's what we're basically using as the time period to create a real business or become a content entrepreneur. So 17 months, that is the runway. And there are a lot of people out there, including us, talking about we have to shorten the runway. Is 17 months long enough? Do you have enough capital? So 17 months, basically a year and a half. Now, we've talked recently about the different ways that you should be diversifying revenue and getting there. But let's just be honest in this environment. We are probably either in a recession or we're headed into a recession. And what do we as content entrepreneurs need to do right now to make sure that we have those 17 months? But more than that, how do we lengthen that? We might need more. We might need 22 months. We might need 29 months. When my wife and I started what became Content Marketing Institute, we launched the business in April of 2007. And we made a major pivot in September of 2009, and I didn't think that we were really going to make it until midway through 2010. It's 3 years. So what you really need to do now, in order to make sure we have as much runway as possible, 17 months plus, is to trim the fat. I've talked recently on this podcast about being aggressive, about taking risks. That has nothing to do with what I'm going to tell you right now. What I want you to do is take a fresh look at your business. And are there any areas where you can cut back on the fat? I get an interesting newsletter every week from Lexi Grant, and she just started a company called They Got Acquired, which basically talks about small acquisitions and what those companies did to get acquired. And she looks at case studies over the last couple of years. And she looked at one recently from Shay Beck, and Shay is the founder of a e-commerce brand, sunglasses e-commerce brand called Foldies. And his biggest advice to get to where he was from zero to success was trim all the fat you can. I cannot stress this enough. This is where you look at things like Google ads. Are you doing Facebook spend that you shouldn't be? And this goes into time as well. Are you spending time on things that you shouldn't be? We're going into a really key moment in time for content creators that you have to make it through this period. And if you make it through this period, you will be really successful coming out on the other side. So yes, I want you to try all these new revenue opportunities. If you're diversified in your revenue, you have more opportunity for success. You have more opportunity to lengthen that runway, but you also have to be conscious of your costs because we need to be net positive when it comes to revenue over expenses. It's very, very important that your business becomes financially sustainable as soon as humanly possible. So this is a great time to look at everything that you're doing. Spend 2 weeks. Look at who you're outsourcing to. Look at the time that you're spending. Look at even the most minimal costs. I remember back in 2008 and 2009, we had to make decisions like, should we have 2 cars? We went to 1 car. We made decisions like, do we really need cable? Those are the types of decisions we needed to make because 3 years later, we had a multi-million-dollar business, but we needed to get to the point, that tipping point, where the revenue started to come in easier than it was before. So lengthen your runway. Get to where you need to get by looking at some things that maybe you've just let these expenses go by on a month-to-month basis and you sort of forgot about them. Now's the time to revisit and say, look, we need to survive as long as possible. Let's trim that fat so that we can come out of this recession and dominate. Good luck.